Hello everyone, this is Dave from Dave's Recent Things. Love it or hate it or kind of not like it, whatever it is, gnomes are the theme for today. I do love gnomes. I love Valentine's gnomes, Halloween gnomes, Christmas gnomes. During Christmas time, actually, our house is full of gnomes. I love them so much for the holiday season. Today, we're going to concentrate on fall/autumn and do a gnome door hanger. Why don't I just get started and I'll show you what I made. I'm using wire hangers today instead of a wreath frame. I'm also going to be using some styrofoam balls. These are just small ones. Some leaves that are from the Dollar Tree. Some floral picks from the Dollar Tree as well with a fall theme. You can use some ribbon if you want. I'm not going to use ribbon today, but if you want to use ribbon to make a bow, I also have some brown felt sheets. I'm going to use these little toe sliders, they're like neon or nylon, embroidery canvas, some cable ties. There's a lot today, along with my regular crafting utensils and some pliers and black electrical tape to create this project today. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the hanger part of those hangers, and I'm going to use those wires to create my frame. I'm just undoing them, making them into a straight line, and then I'm going to create the hat of our gnome. So this is like a little triangle piece, and then the other one I'm going to use for the beard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off little sections as well to create little brackets on there for it to keep the size. I'm just going to cut that right down, and then I'm going to take that electrical tape, I'm going to cut it into strips, put it off to the side, and then I'm just going to wrap that electrical tape around those interchanges where they meet. I love using electrical tape. All you can do is just wrap it around and then you pull it and wrap it at the same time, and it holds really, really well. My recommendation, always have some electrical tape in your craft storage. I tend to use it a lot, and especially when you're creating your own little wreath frame like we're doing today, they work wonders. I just love using it. It's flexible, it's easy to work with, and once that's all done, I have the top portion of our hat for our gnome all framed in and ready to continue. For the bottom portion, I'm taking another hanger, so this is a third one, and I'm also taking that embroidery canvas that's mesh. I'm kind of figuring out the sizing of how I want everything. I'm going to cut it down to size, and then I'm going to use, again, that electrical tape to wrap around. And I'm using maybe 1 or 2 pieces per intersection just to make sure everything is really nice and secure and it's not going to go anywhere. Then I'm just going to take a Sharpie, outline the bottom portion of the beard, use my scissors to cut out on the line, and then I'm going to take some cable ties and I'm just going to wrap those around the wire frame and one of the little holes right in that mesh. What do you call that? That is a canvas for embroidery, I believe is what they call it. Then I'm going to cut off the excess and we have our frame all ready to decorate. And here are all my leaves, and all I'm really going to do is I'm just going to start using my hot glue gun to glue those leaves right on that mesh portion. Again, I'm just going to do the outline to start with. I'm using the more solid color ones, and then once that outline is done, I'm going to come in and I'm going to fill all of that rest of the mesh with those leaves just by adding my hot glue gun. And then I'm just going to start filling it in, and I'm leaving the more interesting, colorful leaves for the top. And here we are all filled in. Taking a look at it, I'm happy with that. I'm going to add one more on there, trying to decide which color to do, add it on, and then I'm just going to put the rest to the side because we'll use those later on as well. But here is our little beard. We're going to fluff it up just a little bit because they are a little flat, and I want there to be some interest there, so I'm fluffing that up. Now comes time for the hat. I just take a piece of my felt sheet and I'm going to create a little brim of the hat right at the bottom using my hot glue gun and folding over that felt just to create a little brim of the hat. So once that's all done, I'm going to turn it over face side down, and I'm going to place some hot glue right at the bottom there to glue it right to our frame. Press that down and then add hot glue right at the ends to fold over our brown felt, just to clean up those edges and make sure they're nice and secure. And then I'm just going to take more hot glue, follow along that wire frame, folding it over bits and pieces at a time. And I am actually kind of scrunching it at the same time because I want a little bit of a scrunch effect. I don't want it just to be flat. I want to create some interest there. And every now and then I do chop off a little bit of that felt to make sure it's all nice and clean. And once that's all there, we have our hat almost all done just by gluing it down. And I'm going to finish off the top, just giving a little kind of a triangle piece at the top with that hot glue, kind of giving it that little peak right at the top. Here is my hat all done, and there are all my leaves all done. I'm fluffing them up again. And to create a door hanger, I'm going to use one of those cross wires and 2 cable ties. So I'm going to tie 1 cable tie on there. I'm not going to tie it all the way tight. Then a second cable tie, I'm just going to feed it right through that first cable tie we did. Give it a couple of clicks, and then I'm going to cut the excess off of our second one just with my pair of scissors. I'm going to put that little nub right at the bottom, and then I'm going to tie that first cable tie really, really tight by pulling it, grabbing my scissors, cutting off the excess, and we've just created our little hanger for our little gnome. To create our little nose, I'm taking that styrofoam ball and I'm taking one of those pieces of nylon, wrapping it around, giving it a couple of really good twists, tying it with some twine that I had. You can use some thread or some yarn, whatever you have that works. And then once it's all pulled nice and tight, I'm going to cut the excess off of that twine and then cut the excess off of that nylon as well. We've created our little nose. Now, when I went to glue it on, I kind of had a little problem. I had glued down that brim of the hat so securely I couldn't fit the top of the nose underneath, but that's okay. We are problem solvers when we're crafters. It always happens. We have to think on our feet. So I'm going to glue that nose down. And what I'm going to do is I cut another piece of my felt and I'm going to create another brim just by folding it in half and adding some hot glue on there. I'm going to make sure it's nice and secure and that it fits and it works perfectly. Cut off the excess, and then I'm just going to glue that down so it covers up that top portion of our gnome like we always see all around. So just gluing everything in place, making sure it's perfect, and now I am happy with that. Problem solved. And for some embellishments, I'm just taking some spare burlap ribbon, some spare orange ribbon. I am basically taking off the ends there and creating a little fringe edge, frayed edge if you want, and then I'm just going to hot glue those down. I'm going to take some pieces of leaves from my floral pick, those berries and that pumpkin, and I'm just going to glue them down right around that brim of the hat on the left-hand side. Then I'm going to work at the top doing the same thing, adding some leaves, some berries, a little sunflower as well, and then I'm going to do some more finishing touches right at the brim of our hat. And then, boom, our gnome is all done. Look at his beard with all of those fall colors, that pumpkin, the sunflowers, the patches on his hat, and of course, to top it off, that little pick right at the top as well. Here he is on my door, just screaming fall, saying, I am ready for the fall season. I just love how this turned out, a nice, simple, quick craft for the fall season. Thank you so much for joining me today and watching while I created our beautiful fall gnome door hanger. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new project. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.